Hi everyone, thanks for your patience. Welcome to our latest webinar. My name is Fernando González and I am the Marketing Director at Bellatrix Software. We can see a lot of people joining right now, so we're very pleased to see the audience today. Just in case you haven't heard of us before, let me do a quick introduction. Bellatrix Software is a software innovation company located in Mendoza, Argentina, and Lima, Peru. Today's webinar is about behavior-driven development, a software development process that is on the rise. To start, there's a saying that states, "The only thing constant in life is change." This statement applies heavily to software product development since we can see that during a product building process, requirements are changing a lot faster today than it used to be before. This is probably due to changing markets, customers, political and economic landscapes, and many more variables. And probably to make things even worse, the variety and multiplicity of roles involved in a software project team make the communication process a real challenge. BDD, or behavior-driven development, brings a common language to teams that makes the communication much more effective and therefore increases productivity. But to go deep into this subject today, with us are here Mauricio Bessé and Luis Vadet.
Hello everyone.
Welcome. Hi. Guys. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Well, Mauricio is a project management leader and also a certified Scrum Master at Bellatrix Software. He's worked on software development for more than 12 years and currently leads a 16 project with more than 25 developers and testers divided into 2 countries. In the case of Luis, he's a senior developer and also a certified Scrum Master. He started to collaborate with Bellatrix in 2008 as a .NET developer. And he has worked, and actually he's still working for one of our largest clients. That it's a financial sector company. It's a worldwide leader financial sector company, and they have successfully implemented behavior-driven development into this project. Before jumping into the content, let me give you a little bit an overview of what we're going to see today and the process. We will use about 30 to 35 minutes for the main content, including a live coding demonstration. And at the end, we'll save some time to answer questions that you may have. If you do, and during the presentation, please type the questions in the box located to the right of the screen. We'll do our best to answer all of the questions. And one last thing before we start, we would like to learn a little bit more about our audience. So we are launching a poll right now. So as you can see, we're asking whether you're familiar or not with the behavior-driven development process. Please submit your vote. Okay, we're almost done. Just a few seconds to let everyone vote. Perfect. Okay. Great. Let me share the results. So, as we can see, only 36% of the audience is actually familiar with the concept, and most of them are not familiar.
All right.
Great, thanks. And just another question, quick question. Let us know what your role is in the software team. Are you a developer? Are you working in quality assurance? Are you a Scrum Master, a product owner, or all different roles? This will also help us to manage the content a little bit, to make it more targeted. Okay. Let's see, a couple of more votes needed. And there we go. Great, so we have 17% of developers and also Scrum Masters, and 8% of quality assurance engineers, and a big audience of other roles different from those.
That's very good to have a wide audience today. So hopefully,
so we can show go.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, with no further introduction, I leave you with Mauricio.
Thank you, Fernando, for your introduction, and thank you everyone for joining us today. As you may know, several changes occur during our current software development process. We have a lot of new technologies, fast changing scenarios, customer requirements are changed faster, new technology is available. The number of factors that are affecting our performance in the software development teams are higher than ever before. The teams are under high pressure to meet expectations, deadlines, releases, making itself more efficient, but also they have to have time to research, understand, and adopt new technologies as well. If you have separated teams, one team's doing development tasks, meaning coding or software developer, and also other teams doing quality assurance tasks, for sure you know that unclear requirements become a problem. Sometimes the requirements are well expressed, it's good written, but different teams have different own languages, and it makes the communication not so effective that we used to have for that. Other times, requirements are written by non-technical person, like a product owner or software analyst or business analyst. So can you see the point? Can you follow me on that? Clear communication, understanding of the requirements becomes a key for project success. If we have a very good communication, we have a huge opportunities to be with the project on time. So let's add more things to this equation. Imagine that these teams are located in different countries. They are not all together in the same room. They have different countries, different culture. So all the things make more harder to be specific and accurate when we write the specifications or the requirements. And all needs to be shared across all the roles for the software team. There is good thing with this. You are not the first one to face this problem, and you are not the only one either. So the idea with this webinar is to explain how behavior-driven development contributes to improve or increase our project capabilities, reduce the communication breakdowns between technicals and business roles, reduce costs, and also accelerate time to market for our systems. The idea is to go for the history, to tell you where BDD came from, provide a kind of definition for behavior-driven development. As you will see, we are going to BDD promote to use a specific language, so we are going to share with you an example of this language, show what the implementation we did for our project and how it works, and integrate with our current software development process. Talk about the benefits we found, share some statistics, and also at the end some question and answer session for you.
Great intro, Mauricio. Thanks. So why don't we start with a little bit of the history?
Sure. That would be great. As you may know, probably one of the first approaches we used to manage software projects was use waterfall. It's a sequential process. You have the analysis first, then the design, coding, testing, and finally you will get the product ready to work. One of the common problems with that methodology is how we deal with the changes. If those changes appears in the early stage, it means analysis or design probably. This causes a low impact in the project, but if all those changes occurs during the last stages, maybe coding, or even worse, during the testing, that will be a really huge problem. This this moved the team to face some undesired results, like unmet deadlines, the work or provide an obsolete product, of course, increasing the cost, among others. to address or mitigate this problem that we are talking about is where Agile came from. So what Agile suggests is to split the whole project in small stages, what we will call, in Scrum we call sprints. It usually takes from 2 or 3 weeks of duration. And at the end of these sprints, the team provides working software for the stakeholders. As you can see, having a software that works every 2 or 3 weeks is a huge improvement against the waterfall process, when sometimes we have to wait a year or more to get the project and see how it works, or if what, in order to verify if that was what the stakeholders want to behave or want to need in order to solve all the problems and accomplish all the necessities they have. The more frequent deliveries implies several benefits, as we mentioned before. Stakeholders receive the working product every 2 weeks, so they can provide feedback about if this software they are getting is what they want. As soon as the team get the feedback they want to change, they are able to change or improve the process in order to be more productive or adapt to those changes that happen into the market. Even if we can see that, as we said before, a huge improvement based on against waterfall, spend 2 or 3 weeks to realize that we did something that was wrong. It's still a huge impact. Imagine we have a huge team, the people, maybe 50 or more people working the same product, spending 2 weeks, and then realize they didn't build the right thing. And also for the stakeholders, wait for 2 weeks to realize that what they get is not the thing that they really need. It's a huge problem, and it's caused a lot of frustration into the teams and the people involved in the project. So how we can work, how we can face this problem, how we can solve this. So where is the idea for this BDD came from?
Great. So Luis, what's BDD, right? So that's the question. How can BDD answer these questions Mauricio was asking?
This is the key question. Before us answering that question, I'd like to add some additional questions to what Mauricio pointed out. In first place, can the development cycle be reduced a little bit more to make the delivery faster? As you know, we are at this point using an agile methodology that has a 2 weeks duration. So reducing this period of time to deliver something that works will lead us to concentrate at the history level, at the user story level. I mean,
right.
Then there are 2 other questions that we should answer. One of them is how the development team can make sure that they are going to build the right thing even before starting to do that. And related to that, how can stakeholders or the client make sure they are going to receive the software product they want? The answer for those last questions is that we need to use a new process. We cannot continue working the same way. And this new process needs to remove or minimize communication barriers from the very beginning, right? And here's where behavior-driven development comes in. So we can say it is a development process that is based on an ubiquitous language. that language is built by the team while they work in collaboration with product owners and stakeholders. And the good thing is that this language is understood by everyone. Which is more, this language helps the team to specify clearly what the system needs to do in order to make it acceptable for the client. How can we do that? This is another key question. And the answer is that we need to specify writing scenarios in this language. And those scenarios should look like examples, easier to understand by everyone. That simplicity is the key benefit that will make those scenarios easier to understand and easier to automate. Another frequently asked question that someone might ask is the difference that is between behavior-driven development and test-driven development. And in that sense, I need to say that BDD is a development practice that has been created in response to the problems found in test-driven development methodologies. For those who don't know, test-driven development is a development practice only aimed for developers, and it consists of 3 main stages. The first is like you are seeing on the screen, writing a failing test. Then you need to make it pass by writing the sufficient code to make it pass. And finally, if you need, you can refactor that code to make it more maintainable. The problem with this approach is that as the code increases in size, more and more effort is needed for the last step, I mean the refactor step. So the productivity of the team is reduced because when a new requirement comes in, you need to maintain existing tests before adding new functionality. And the problem behind all these things is that we are testing the internal structure of the software, or the internal structure of the objects that build the software. And the BDD is created just to address those issues. What we are going to test using behavior-driven development is what the software does instead of what the software is. I don't know if that makes clear. If you have any questions, please, you can type it in the chat window.
Thank you, Luis, for that. As you mentioned before, we did propose to use a structured language to move or to write the requirements in a different way in order to solve some of the problems that we see. So the idea is to share now a language example to show you what is the language we are proposing to use. And the idea for that is to use a very common scenario that probably everyone knows, which is a login page. If we are working in an agile project, probably, as you may know, all software requirements are written in a user story format. In our case, that will be something like this. As a registered user, I want to log in order to access the home page. if the username or password are invalid, I will stay in login page and the system will show an error message. This could be traduced in several tasks in order to be taken for the team and the team members and accomplish all these tasks to complete the requirement that we just write. So in that case, a task could be something like this: validate username and password. If they are valid, redirect the user to login page, to home page, sorry. Otherwise, stay in the page and show an error message. As we can see at this point, probably we think that this is clear enough for everybody to understand what we need to do and what we need to accomplish. But however, it's highly probable that when we're starting working on this task, we realize there are still some gray zones or questions that we need to answer in order to be sure that we are building the right things or completing exactly what the user story or the stakeholders want to do for that. Now I'm going to show you how we can write this same thing using the language that BDD proposed.
As you see in the screen, this is a typical example of a GHERKIN scenario. GHERKIN is the language that BDD, or behavior-driven development, relies on. This language has some reserved words that are the ones you see in blue. There are special words that have a special meaning.
Right, and let me ask you, which other words do we need to learn in order to use GHERKIN?
Those are all the words we have.
All the words?
Yeah.
Okay.
As you can see, it's quite
very simple.
Quite simple. Yeah. For instance, let's describe what we see in the screen. The first line contains the reserved word scenario. It simply tells us what we are going to test in the following lines. In our case, it's a valid login attempt. Then we have a given sentence which says, given the user is in the login page and when he enters a valid username and a valid password, are describing the context we need to set up before executing the test we need to execute. At the technical level, for instance, it will end up producing a set of actions we need to execute before executing the test. The test itself takes place in the when sentence, when you read when the user logs in. Here clearly we are testing a valid login attempt, so our execution of the test is what you read in that line. And the last line is the expected outcome we want to get. In our case, we want to be redirected to the home page. If you expect more results from the execution of this action, you can add them simply by adding more lines to the scenario. As you can see, it is really simple to read. In fact, as the team works in this way, they realize that the combination of conditions they are working with help the team to define additional scenarios like the ones you can read in the screen. For instance, by making different combinations of the username, password, values, you can infer additional scenarios that otherwise would have never appeared.
Yes, the thing is, in this case, probably it's a very simple example that we are sharing with you. So, but imagine the situation that the business rule is not so simple, and we have a lot of possible combinations and a lot of possible things that we need to take in consideration in order to be sure we are covering all the functionality required. In that case, as you can see here, getting all these scenarios written in that way helps a lot to the team to be sure that they are covering everything, but also it's easily to read, no matter if you are a product owner or a businessman or a technical guy or working in quality assurance team. That's one of the benefits and the powerful of use this tool.
Right.
After researching a little more about the pitfalls and the benefits of the whole process, we decided to implement it in the project we are working on right now. This project is for a client that is one of the biggest interest rate and risk advisory companies worldwide. So for this part of the implementation, we are going to start with the initial states, telling you where is the company, or where is the project when we started working with this. One of the first approach we follow in order to improve the process itself, and finally how we apply BDD for this project.
Okay, so before this experience, that company have never applied BDD before.
No. They used to work using Agile, Scrum in particular, but no. BDD this was the first experience in that.
Right.
Yeah. The company that Mauricio describes is a big one. It has almost 10 teams, each one having 7 to 10 team members in average, among developers, testers, and product owners. And with that quantity of people working, the number of changes to be included on each release is huge. So although they have requirements in an issue tracker, like a way to formalize the requirements, those backlog items were still written in a natural language. It is a language that is familiar for business people, but not for developers. So the result of this situation is that we have up to 3 different perspectives: the business perspective, the developer's perspective, and also the testers who usually tested the system according to their understanding. So let's imagine the result we might get from this situation.
Messy, absolutely messy, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yes. As Luis mentioned, there was a lot of miscommunication between the teams, and so in order to mitigate some of this misunderstanding and quality issues that Luis mentioned before, the company proposed some ideas, and one of the first approach we follow is to get testers and developers working closer than they used to do it before. We do that with running the test cases locally on developer machines instead of wait for getting a special environment or that. So this promotes more communication between both areas, early detection of bugs, and helps in other areas as well. Anyway, we still have some gaps between the software products that the business analysis required to build and what the teams does and what we deliver at the end of each iteration. It's good to mention that at this point, even if we were working together and closer than before, the issues were still written in another language, I mean, a business language, it depends. If the programmer read the specification, they use their own language. If the developer wrote the specification, they use the ones that used to do it, and the QA guys as well. We get some, this initiative was a very good starting point. However, we have some problems as well. We still have communication issues because of that I just mentioned about the freestyle language that used to write the specifications. We still have some collaboration problems. Great guys with great technical skills didn't collaborate too much because they didn't know a lot about the business. We have a slightly reduction of quality issues, but it still remained higher than expected. We have a regression analysis based on our integration system, but we get the results at the other day instead of having at this moment. It's become to need one more day to be sure that our changes didn't impact to other areas or didn't affect them. Finally, it was still hard to get the traceability of requirements. It's hard to know when a change was requested, who requested change, who did the change, what was the change, and what other areas were impacted on that. So it was a starting point, but we still need something to improve.
Great, perfect. Great recap and the first part of the webinar. Now the good stuff starts, right?
Yeah.
And just as a reminder to our audience, if you have some questions, please type them on the box located in your screen. We have received a few so far, and as I mentioned, we will try to address them all at the end. Okay, perfect. Let's jump now to the next part.
I'm trying to reach my computer. Just a second. Here we are.
Okay, great.
Okay, what you're seeing in the screen now is the BDD process. The BDD process can be drawn as two cycles. Somewhere you can see the process as two concentric cycles. The higher level one is aimed to for the whole team. At this level, clients and development team work in collaboration to define what is gonna be built. And the internal cycle is only for developers because it is more related to the code. In the first point, it takes place in the issue tracker normally, and here's where the whole team with the product owners discuss and collaborate to create scenarios that like the ones we showed you before. Once they agree on that kind of requirements, testers can take them just simply copying and pasting that scenarios to development environment to produce failing tests like the step two remarks. Once they have created, and once they make sure that those tests are failing, they pass the ball to developers who start the coding phase. I mean, at this point, developers are going to start creating the real code that will produce the functionality increment we want. And this is where developers normally use test-driven development approach. They first write failing unit tests for each piece of code that they write. Then they make those unit tests pass, and if they need, they are going to refactor that code. And they repeat that cycle until the test that was created by the tester in step 2 is passing. Once they come up with a passing test, they can be sure that the functionality change requested by the client has been accomplished, which is what you see in step 4. The final step is optional. You can refactor the whole thing if you need. So after that, I'd like to show you a working code to make the picture more clear. As I said before, the first step takes place in an issue tracker. We are using now this simple issue tracker. Here our team has created this scenario in order to make a valid login attempt, as always. The scenario says that given a valid login request, which contains a valid username and a password, when we execute that login attempt, the response we get should be something that has a successful status, and also it should contain a session ID value. For simplicity reasons, I decided to implement this in a service. Now I'm going to show you how the team takes this requirement and they simply copy and paste that requirement into the development code to make it automatable.
So that's just simple requirement that you copy and paste.
Yes.
That's it.
At this point, I'm working as a tester. I copied and pasted the scenario. In our case, my solution consists of a service, an acceptance test project where all my BDD stuff will live, and a unit test project that is aimed for developers, right? Once I have this scenario in this way in a feature file, I need to implement a series of steps for each line you can see here. It will end up being a series of methods that makes the test working, I think. At the beginning, all the steps are in a pending state. So if the tester takes them and run them, you will see the result is inconclusive, because we didn't specify how what the test needs to do. This is what I'm doing right now. The first sentence in the test says that we need a valid login request. So what I'm doing now is just creating that request, and I am doing that in the same way a developer will do. The next step says that I need to add a valid username in that request, so I'm providing one. The same thing is for the password field. Here's the interesting thing. Now, as a tester, I will specify in this step that I am going to test the service sending that request. The final steps for this simple test are two steps that will make sure that will verify that the result is what I expect. In this case, I expect a successful status and a session ID value. Once I complete this test creation, I can run the test again to see how it fails. It is normal that this test fail because we don't have implementation code to make it pass. Okay, at this point, as a tester, I am done. So I will pass the ball to a developer who is gonna start the necessary changes to make this test pass, right? So once the developer receives this failing test, the first thing he needs to do is to add unit test for each piece of code that he needs to write. Again, I can run these tests now as a developer and see how they fail because I don't have implementation at all. So next steps are the implementation part. The first thing I'm going to implement is my service code. It will simply receive the request sent by the client of the service and try to make a login attempt in a business layer. I will compile the project and then as a developer I will run them again. They still fail, so the final step is to write the necessary code to make the test pass. Now I can see how my unit test passed, and also I can show you the acceptance test that the tester provided me. also passing. It means that that we are our software is behaving as the client wants. We can make sure that our goal has been accomplished.
So that completes the whole process of BDD. We're starting with the failing scenario that we base on the issue tracker, then move using the regular TDD process, and finally we complete the acceptance test to be sure that everything is going well. That's great.
Right.
If we're back to the presentations, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, what you're seeing now on the screen is the final result of all this stuff. Once you build the software following the process we showed you, you can also integrate that stuff in a continuous integration server where all the tests, not only the unit tests, but also the acceptance tests I showed you, will run to make sure that the software always behaves as expected. What you're seeing on the screen is a real screenshot, that has been taken from a real project. As you can see, it shows in a friendly way how the system is running in a particular moment.
Right.
Based on the implementation that we did on the project, we would like to share some benefits we found after that. The first one is live documentation. Raise your hands, the ones who like to write documentation requirements. Well, I can see some hands here.
Yeah,
and now
looking at that pile, I can't just wait to raise my hand.
and also now raise the hand the ones that would like to keep this documentation updated. This is a real change. This is the real challenge. I mean, probably we have the first version of the documentation, but as soon as things change, it's hard to keep it updated. In our case, documentations lives in the scenarios that we wrote as a team, describing what we want to do and what we need to accomplish. So every time that requirement change, we need to update the feature files that are in our issue tracker, and also update the code in order to make it pass and make it behave as we expected. So in that case, we keep this documentation alive and all the time is updated. Our benefit we found is a better product understanding. BDD promotes that people in the team talk about the acceptance criteria, which is what we need to accomplish in order to say that this requirement is complete, it's approved, and it's validated. BDD promotes doing that in an organized way, following the structured languages, and it helps a lot to to move the people inside the team to think through solution before they start writing code. They think about the whole possible scenarios, what we need to do, what we need to accomplish. So everyone in the team is in the same page, and also improve their knowledge about the products they are building.
Yeah. The next benefit we can mention is that it reduced communication barriers between domain experts and the team, because using BDD ensures that the common language is adopted for discussing new features and removes a lot of the ambiguity that sometimes can be in user stories or product backlog items. As this language is usable, understandable not only by experts but also by all team members, it reduced the complexity of the domain, and it makes also easier for new members to join to the team.
Other thing that we found was this process encouraged better software quality. As members on the team discuss about the specification and write using that language, they discover new scenarios that helps to the team to be sure that everything is covered. All these scenarios are validated by the product owner. It means that we are working the right thing. And also we have automated tests for all these scenarios. That means that our software quality is better through following this process.
Yeah, and related to what you're saying, as all the scenarios are validated by product owners and the team before starting the implementation, we can make sure that once they are built, they are covering what the software needs to do.
Okay, great, guys. We're getting close to the top of the hour here. We're just 5 minutes away from reaching our deadline. We might extend a little bit on our time to answer your questions. So for the audience here, if you have the time, please stay with us a little bit more.
Okay.
We're going to faster with the statistics. The idea here to show you one of the things we get based on the numbers of the project. Here we are showing the number of issues that were to QL status during the sprint. How many of these tasks the people work on it go through this status. At the very beginning, around the end of 2011, we didn't use any process of that. And around 30% of these issues, of the tickets that teams work during the sprint, were to that status, and they were fixed during the sprint and finally get it fixed. And as we move through this project and following the process, we improved this situation a lot, and currently we are around the 3% of the things. Only 3% of the issues moved to the failed QA status. As we can see here, we can see that the communication is improvement because now both are in the same page. The process helps a lot to get a better quality software and encourage people to work together to improve as a team as well. If you're business stakeholders and you have some issues sometimes to write the specification to let people what you want to do, or if you're in a technical role, sometimes you have concentrated in the thing that you have to build instead of really be sure if you are building the right thing. You are more concentrated to get the things working. No matter where part you are, probably the situation causes problems in the project or your company. Using BDD, trying to solve these problems. First of all, it increases the success rate of the project. Clearly identifying the stakeholders, the business effect, and also the business value in each user story. It helps to improve communication, collaboration, and quality software, encourage people in the team to communicate more often, to do it in a structured way, and also working together to find all possible value scenarios. Concentrating on key features for stakeholders, it means we are pushing the people and helps the team to build the right thing, delivering what is more important for the stakeholders, for company, for the guy that are needed the software we are doing, and also allowing companies to be on time in the market with the current product.
In other words, it will be more successful.
Yes, exactly. Using the common language, an effective one, it's one of the other things that we would like to point out here. Common is widely adopted by the team, no matter if you're a technical guy, a businessman, or you're a product owner. Using this language will help you to be more accurate in your description and accurate with the scenarios that you are defining. And also these scenarios are written in a way that is really easy to read for everyone. Preconditions, trigger, and expected results, which make it more effective way to complete all the requirements. So finally, while BDD is not widely adopted yet, in our experience, teams that are following this process are experiencing noticeable improvements in communication, collaboration, and software quality that they are building. One of the most important points for us is the high grade of satisfaction of stakeholder expectations. We hope this presentation has helped to you to learn about BDD and to know a little more about this new way to manage software development project. Thank you very much.
Thanks for attending.
Great. This has been great, guys. Absolutely great. We have, I will say, tons of questions here. So let's do our best. And I know that some of the attendees will stay longer with us just to hear their answers being replied. So the first one here is from Farouk. I think he's from Vancouver. He's asking how much knowledge, coding knowledge, you need to know when testing a scenario. Sorry, it's a little confusing here. How much coding knowledge you need when testers copy the scenario from the issue tracker to the IDE?
Okay. There are some.
Could you repeat the question, please?
How much coding knowledge you need when testers copy the scenario from issue tracker to the IDE?
If you need coding knowledge at the beginning, when the whole team starts working on the same environment, that's something that developers can help to testers to start writing code, but as the time goes, testers will be more experienced in writing that kind of code, and also developers become more familiar with testing practices that they have never realized.
Probably there are something that I forgot to mention, that there are some plugins for, in our case, we use SpecFlow, which is a plugin for Visual Studio that we just copy the specification from the issue tracker, and following the structure language, the plugin automatically generates the skeleton for all the steps that we need to accomplish. So
exactly.
We didn't mention that before, but this is, I think, is closely related with the question that Farouk, I think, asked. As Luis said, probably at the very beginning they will need some support from the dev guy, but as soon as they move forward with the methodology, that should be a plus. And also I think that tester in general is moving to automation, and so people that know how to coding, it should be not so hard to
something we need to consider is that this development process encourage the team to work in collaboration. So maybe there's no such separation of roles that we had before.
Okay, and also related to that, it is like a second stage of that question, also from Farouk. He's asking also, why is it important that testers need to paste the scenario in IDE? Do you think that the developer can take care of that?
Yeah, they can. In fact, there are some projects, or companies where there's not such separation of concerns. You don't have testers roles and developers roles. You only have a development team that makes the whole thing. So in our case, as we have both teams, I wanted to highlight where the testers' work will be more accurate in this process. Right?
See, but also we show it here like a sequential process. I mean, testers paste the scenario, then made the scenarios fail and all the things, and then the developers start working on it. But in fact, it's a parallel process. So
Yep.
there is no any particular reason that someone have to do it, or tester or developers do that. Both can do that. But in general, like a tester works more on the validation things. That's why we show in that way. It's the same thing that when you write some requirements. This language encourages people, no matter where the role become, to write the specification as they need.
They will
Following this, following this rule is supposed to be no matter who write the things, everyone should understand what they want to do.
Yep.
Right. Perfect. Thank you. Great. Let's go with another question. This one is from Carlos Castillo. Carlos is asking, what could be the steps to implement this for an ongoing project? So you guys are the right guys to to answer this.
For
Ongoing, yeah. So we were an ongoing project. So probably the steps should be talk as a team and start using GHERKIN as a language.
Yep.
That should be the first step, because it's everything based or it's supported by this language. So probably you can start doing just the definition or moving in that direction, say writing the new features following this language, and continue with the project that you use to it right now. And then start adding new part of this process as part of your current, or incorporate this part in your current process. Maybe we could say, okay, just start writing the things using the language. The next step should be like, okay, now incorporate some scenarios and validation and run not for everything, but just for some new things. Or maybe you can say, okay, let's start with services. Every time we develop new services, we are going to apply this just for this kind of particular project, but it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
But actually, incremental should be a good way to do that, right?
Yeah,
it's a process.
Starting to write the requirements using this language is the great step. The next steps, like automation, are direct once you get all the requirements written in a standard way.
As I mentioned before, it's a process. So every process needs to be improved and need to be grow with the team as well. So every time you change the process, it's nothing that could be from one day to another. The team should be start learning new things, improving itself, learning from their mistakes, and adapt the process for the company.
Exactly.
Great. Perfect. This is a short one, but then I have more for you guys. That BDD app has cost, right? This question is from Carla from Peru. The application that you showed, the software, does it have any cost?
It is free.
It's free.
It's free.
Yeah.
And there are also other frameworks for other languages as well.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, it's not specific for .NET, but you can use it in any coding, mostly any coding language, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The standard, the de facto standard for BDD is Cucumber, which is an open source tool. And in .NET World, we have this SpecFlow, which is the port, the Cucumber port for .NET frameworks. And you can also use, in Java, for instance, you can use JVhead. I don't remember other tools, but most of them are free. There are also, of course, plugins that are paid to give you additional features that you can get or not, depending on your economy.
Right. Perfect. Let's move to the next one. This one is from Willie de la Cruz, someone we know at Bellatrix.
Yeah.
Thanks for participating, Willie. And this one says, which Scrum roles, product owners, Scrum masters, Scrum developers, should write GHERKIN features and scenarios?
As we mentioned before, it's a team effort. In general, even in a Scrum promotes that everyone that needs to discuss or to define some things want to participate and do it by themselves. In general, user stories in Scrum are written just by product owners, but tasks inside of the teams are written for everyone in the team. In that case, this should be a collaborative effort to discover the scenarios and share the knowledge of the application.
Yeah, if we talk about our particular experience, our product owners usually started writing scenarios like the one we showed you in a higher level syntax. So they maybe didn't provide all the details the team needed to start the implementation, but as the team used to have grooming sessions where we refine the requirements, those sessions were used to refine the requirements and end up with more accurate scenarios. As Mauricio said, it is a collaborative team task.
Effort.
Yeah, you cannot do that alone.
As any agile thing, the teams are out to manage. They manage themselves. So if they want to just define some role to do that, it's up to them.
Great. And as we have been way over our final time, we will do just one more question before we have the winner today.
Okay.
And also Farouk, he's asking how tester in step number 2. Sorry.
Yep.
How testers will test a scenario on a developer machine when there is no code at that point.
If you don't mind, I will show that answer in my computer. Just a second. I will open again my remote desktop.
Sure. While you do that, Luis, let me share with everyone that all those questions that we were not able to answer right now, we will be sending you the responses by email.
Yeah. Sure. We will be available to answer. Let's refer to
the feature file, and then
in the feature file we have for each line we have a step definition. I'm going to concentrate on the when sentence where we execute the service call. As I said before, this test is made against the real service, but there's a good question. How can I test this if the service doesn't exist yet? And the initial answer is that we need to at least provide the structure or the endpoint that we are going to test in order to let the person that writes this code to call the service.
So probably we just need to define the interface.
Exactly. You define the structure, the structure, but not the implementation details that are into this method. I don't know if that answers the question.
Great. Yeah, I think so. Okay, as I mentioned before, that was our last question for today. We really appreciate all of you hanging here right after the end time. So again, thank you very much. We will share a link to the recording and also to the slides, so check your emails soon. Also, you can follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter, and we hope to see you here again soon in our next webinar. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Mauricio and Luis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.